Hello, thanks for listening today to this episode of Grown Women Growing Wealth. I'm here with my awesome broadcast partner, Roberta Ravella.
Good morning,
Hey,
Daphne
hey, hey.
Jones.
There we go. And we're here with Brittany Murphy today. She's marketing director for One Thing Marketing. She's also a partner in the company. And the great thing about Brittany is I met her in an awesome Zoom party with Kat Stanek. But we'll give Kat her pops up later. But the great thing about Brittany and why I really want to get her on the show to talk to you guys is that she marketing, but SEO is a big thing. And she's going to break that down for us too, because she's an expert in that. But she breaks it down into people language, which is awesome. But also the local search. And what really sealed it was when she talked about working with tradespeople. Local businesses that their business is not sitting in front of a screen all day and figuring out the intricacies of internet marketing. And she's able to bridge the gap because of her experiences growing up with her dad, and then just her marketing experiences and being able to make that translation. And that's so important to everyone, because marketing is it. We don't get sales if we don't market, and we don't have a business if we don't get sales. So, hey, it's great to have you here today, Brittany. Hey, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to make SEO simple and sexy at the same time.
Nice.
There we go.
When I think of SEO, it always was like, how do you beat somebody that's got millions and millions of dollars? If you're in trades, or my customers are real estate agents and mortgage people, and they're getting just blasted from, I think iBuy just put $284 million into marketing. Like, how can a local person even float to the top or afford to float to the top on a SEO search? So I was super interested to see how you do it hyper local. I mean, if you're doing it for trades folks, that's any small business pretty much. So
yes, and it can be any small business still with multiple locations. So they still could be big, but there's trying to target into each city, and there might already be a big company that's been established, well known, that they're trying to compete against. So it's a very creative way when you want to attack it. So just for a clear example, I actually own my own blog. And so it's a health blog. Health is one of the most competitive fields online as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that I am combating against Healthline, WebMD, all these huge websites is I'm getting creative with it. And what I'm doing to be creative is I'm basically finding what holes have these big guys not gone down because they don't need to. So the biggest thing with SEO is you're trying to get traffic to your website. That's the end goal at the end of the day, is to get them to your website. Your website's goal is to convert them into a client. So if we're just looking at the side of getting them to us, then let's be honest, a lot of these big guys aren't targeting every single keyword. They're picking up every single keyword because they're huge. But what we're doing is we're actually finding areas that are so niche, they're not going down, or they're not giving good enough answers. And Google's basically ranking them right now because there's no better alternative. So just the simplified way of saying that is I'm seeing what they're not doing and I'm going for that. So it might be something that's only getting 2,000 searches a month versus 2 million. But if I'm the only person writing content for that one question, so it's a one health question that Healthline's not answering, I'm answering it and I'm giving a really good resourceful answer, then Google's going to slowly start to rank me above these guys because I'm actually civically the most relevant search result they can find now, because that's all I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is that making sense so far?
Absolutely. So I recently did a delve with a friend into long tail search. So, if you're a local realtor, I'm here in Highland Beach, which is outside of Boca Raton, right? So I don't want to answer the question, how to buy a house in Boca.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But I might want to answer the question, how to buy a condo with low flood insurance in Boca.
Yes, that would exactly be long tail. So it's basically just getting more niche down into that topic. So not just buying, but buying with this or without that and kind of going with it. So what I tell everybody is that the best thing you can kind of do is look into Google Suggest. So when you're typing in that phrase, so let's just say how to buy a home in Boca Raton, there's going to be suggestions of even longer tail keywords or variations of that keyword in which you could write content about. So exactly, let's just say you weren't creative enough to think about the lack of flood insurance as a add-on for the long tail. Well, Google can suggest for you, here's other relevant searches people are typing in. And again, the reason I tell everybody to really kind of look into that is because when we think about it, we're all human. We all want answers. And the way the internet works now, it's so easy and quick to get that answer. So if they're actually typing it into Google, they are 100% wanting to ask a realtor in person those questions. They just don't have that connection yet. And they want to get some information beforehand. So the reason you want to answer that question is because now they're saying, wow, Roberta is an expert in this field. She's answering the question on how to do this. I should go ahead and give her a call.
Okay. Now, once I figure that out, right? Okay. So I do my little Googly searches and it says how to buy a house in Boca without needing flood insurance. Bam. And I write my 2 paragraphs or whatever. Should I put that on YouTube in video form? Should I put that on my website? Should it go on social media? Like, what's the best thing?
Well, let me actually correct you before there. So you wrote that article. It needs to be way more than 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Even if it's long tail, and even if it's just one question, check to see what's ranking for that. So if you typed in that one question in Google, look at the top 10 results. If all of your competitors are writing 2,000 words, your 2 paragraphs will do absolutely nothing for you. So you want to match what your competitors, how much they are writing, first off. So once you figure out how much you should write, then yes, it needs to be on your website. What I suggest is repurposing that as much as possible. The idea that social media platforms, YouTube, everything like that is to draw them back to your website because that's where all of your contact information is, everything about how you run business. So if you do put that on YouTube, make a short video with the answer. So verbally, you're telling people the answer, but you would actually have a link to that blog post and maybe even the transcript or that blog post within that article. So that's kind of where it's sharing because the other side of what you want to do when you're looking at those results. So again, you type into Google, how to buy a home in blank with no blank. When you see those results pop up, a little cue I'm telling everybody, if you see a lot of videos pop up, you need to do a video.
Okay.
So that's what Google's telling you, that here's some videos and then here's some websites. You know that they're prioritizing video a little bit more. And I think we all know by now, YouTube's owned by Google. So it's its complete own entity to do whatever it would like. So for them, video results are no longer the enemy because they own them. So if they're ranking those higher, then that's when, yes, you still want that blog post on your website, but just make that quick video. It could be 5-7 minutes long, just stating the answer. Because again, my joke I like to make is we're all dumb and lazy. So we want the simplest and the quickest answers to get everything. So the more you can be easy for them, the more you'll be rewarded. And that's kind of where obviously you build the base of people who trust you as well, because you're being that authority for them.
Okay. So you have your niche in trades, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what you have them doing, like answering. So obviously if you're a plumber, you're not going to want to buy the keywords plumber in Houston.
Yes, like about $50 every time someone clicks on your ad.
Right. What am I looking for? So you go into Google, you do the Google suggest. Walk me through it one more time so we can get it through our.
Yeah. The best thing I would say, just when you're approaching this the first time, pretend you know nothing about your industry. So let's just pretend, if Roberta, you are the real estate agent, pretend you are a buyer and this is your first time buying a home. What questions did you have? What things did you think of? What things do you not know? And that's kind of where, I know we talked before the show started, people using jargon and everything technical about what they do online. Those things are still good. But when you write that article, you have some technical jargon because some people, when they're doing research, are seeing those words. So they're using them, but you're using all the variations. So you're able to grasp people at the very beginning of the buying spectrum to maybe towards the very end. They're a little bit more educated. And so we're kind of going on that method of it. When we talk about trades, though, for example, some people are typing in, how do I unclog my toilet? How do I do this? Those are good posts to have. But when it kind of comes down to what you're trying to get that customer to do, well, someone who's looking for how to might not be an end user of my plumbing service. So I need to look more on people who are saying, causes of this, plumber that does this. They're using more of the variations of that industry in the city. So usually a lot of times for any person, and even all of us here, our goal is to rank for the main verbiage of what we do. I'm marketing. I would love to rank for that. That will be a cold day in hell when all SEO people can finally rank for the words that they want.
Yeah. Well, at some point, if you had the money to rank for it, you'd just retire, right?
Exactly.
Right. I wouldn't need to rank.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm in Fiji.
Well, you
Ranking
let
my
all your minions
cocktails,
back home run it for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking to rank for things that other people don't care about or
Yes.
ignoring.
Yes. So the easiest way I tell everybody to start this, just get a pen and pad right beside your computer, put it on your phone. Whoever answers the phone for your business, have them have this beside them. And every time someone calls, whatever question they ask, they write it down. And every time someone calls again and asks the same question, they tally mark. So by the end of a week, you could see how many, what are your frequently asked questions? What do they look like? How relevant are they to what you're doing? So if you can see that they're asking a lot of stuff about you, well, that's not SEO related. That might just be your website's empty. You need to add more information about you, your process, your pricing, testimonials, all those great things on it. But 9 times out of 10, they're kind of asking how this works. And so because they're asking you, we're all scared. They've already typed this into Google. So that's where it kind of relates back. If you can be that authority that they find on the internet that answers that question, most likely when they call to do business, they might still ask you that question, but they're probably calling you because you answered that for them. They might just be double checking to make sure what they read still makes sense. But that's kind of the process we go down, because in the grand scheme, I like to remind everybody, we're all different. So there's different personality types. For example, I am very impatient. So if I needed my toilet fixed, if I needed tree care, if I needed roof care, I'm going straight to Google, typing in roofing company, plumbing company, any of those methods, and I'm going straight to call. Well, you have others that are more timid, more jaded, want to do their research. So they're going to be more detail oriented, where they're going to check out your website. They're going to read a lot of the reviews. They're going to see as much about you as they humanly can. And then when they call, they want to see consistency on what they read about you to when they actually talk to you in service as well. So that's kind of why you want to make sure that you are answering these questions, and you're not just doing SEO to answer them. You're putting your own information into it to really make it that resource, because that is how Google is ranking us nowadays. It's based on how relevant and resourceful we can be. So those factors are time on page, whether they go through other pages of your website because that was so helpful, they want to see more. And honestly, how many links are coming in? So if other people are linking to a blog post you wrote about how to buy a home without flood insurance, that gives you more authority in their eyes and in Google's eyes at the same time. So hopefully that was a little bit simple, but it's a lot of little things to add together on that side.
Yes. And what does backlinking mean? I hear about it all the time and I kind of understand it. Like Neil Patel helped me out a little bit on that. Okay. But what does that mean?
Yes. So backlinking, in the simplest of terms, it's any website that's not your own that has a link. So that blue hyperlink that if you click on it would take them to your website.
Okay.
So that is what a backlink is. And so the idea of it in Google's eyes is, let's just say if abc.com wrote a news article and they wanted to mention that article you did on flood insurance as a part of it. Well, anyone who goes to that article, you get the benefit of that traffic going to your website. But the other side of it long term is that Google's seeing that abc.com is a huge, powerful website, writing tons of content and really resourceful. And they're telling their clients that you are another good resource. Well, a little bit of the trust and power that they create with Google will come to you. So we tell everybody that that's why you want to create really good content as well. You want to get as many of these organic links as possible. And it's fairly simple to start. Anyone who has a website and a business right now, make sure all of your profiles out there are created. So that's obviously all your social media, Facebook, Twitter. These are all places that have your website link in them. There's also the directories online. Google My Business, Yahoo, Yelp, Bing. These are also other places that list your name, address, and website. So these are also links you can do. They may be lower quality, so you do want a mix of high quality websites. So websites you trust, not like ilovecats.com. That's just a spam website.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to get on those high quality websites, and you want to make sure these directories are also listed, because most likely all of your competitors already have the directories. So you just have to play the catch-up game to be there, just creating profiles and places. But it's the extra content that other websites are linking to you that basically helps you outrank competition. So just a quick example, when I mentioned for Healthline, I'm never going to rank for, how to meditate. Just never going to be what I'm going to be ranking for. But if I say how to meditate while sick, maybe no one's read that article yet. So I create that. Now, if anyone's thinking, hey, when you're sick, you should probably just calm down your brain. That would help your body process this. Well, and they don't have an article about it. They type that in. They see my article. Now I get a link on something that didn't drive much traffic, but now my website is getting more powerful because even this small, teeny page that only brings me 20 people a month is either maybe now giving me more traffic, or it's just giving me more power through link building, which will again give me more traffic down the road as well.
Okay.
It's not as hard as it is. I tell everyone, start with the simple things. Just make sure all of your directories are out there. And if you're creating that content, a lot of times organically, you will get these links. But please, please, please do not go to Fiverr or Upwork or any of these places and just buy links from people. That is the biggest thing you could do to actually get your website completely banned off the internet, is if Google sees you are doing things that are so spammy, it is not okay with it any longer. And that's an idea why they're changing the algorithm on us, is to make it where people like us and just other people in general can't cheat the system.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. What questions do you have, Daphne? You're in thinking mode over there.
Yeah, well, I know because we're talking SEO. And you're talking making videos and so forth, but do you do any involvement with like Instagram, Facebook, and so forth? Because you're saying that the thing is to drive them to your website. So
yeah. So personally, we don't handle social media, but what I recommend for a lot of our guys is, you do want something running, and unfortunately with social media, you have to pay for ads now to get that exposure. It's no longer a really great organic way to grow. So they do need to post things on there. So with my trade service industries, I tell them you need to post, but it's not a high priority, because if we relate that back to what your clients are like, they're in a hurry. It could potentially be an emergency. So yes, if my toilet is overflowing, all I know how to do is turn off the water valve. After that, I need help. So I'm not going to go to Facebook and say, hi, who knows a good plumber? I'm going straight to the internet, calling two guys, seeing who can get out here the quickest and what their price structure looks like.
Okay.
So, yep. So if it's something where, let's just say a roofer. So I know I have a leak, but no one's going to come out here tomorrow. I might still call a few guys, but because it's such a big purchase and because I might have to use my insurance with it, I'm going to use a few more metrics to make sure you're a good person to work with, because we've all are very scared of trade industries because we've heard those fly-by-night companies, especially like roofing. So my roofers I definitely tell them we need to get reviews and we need to post those reviews, because if they're going to do a little due diligence to check in on you, they're going to be looking for those type of things. And my analogy is, my last name's Murphy. Shit always happens. It's always not the good type. So what I personally do is I do it very quickly. I go look at their reviews. I filter it. I just want to look at the bad reviews. So what I'm looking for is all the 1 stars. What was the complaint? Is there a trend in the complaints? And most importantly, did the business owner try to resolve it? That's all I'm looking for, because I know most likely a worst case scenario might happen to me. I'm going to look to see what those scenarios could look like and to see if would that company help me fix it. So if the person flew through my roof trying to fix it, am I held liable? Are you all going to fix the inside? Like, who's at fault here, and how is your company going to address it? And if I can see the business owner takes care of everything, a quick example, a roofing company knocked over a pot once, didn't know it. Their ladder hit it, didn't see it. The client left a 1-star review. It said everything was great, but they knocked over my pot, didn't say sorry, didn't address it, didn't do anything. Well, the business owner didn't know, and neither did his guys either, because it just fell off the side. It wasn't visible in the bushes. Owner sent a brand new pot to her, asked her what plant she wanted, got her everything. She went, updated it. And because she saw, because I could see that, I knew anything could happen. They're going to take care of me. That's the type of relationship you want to show online with these type of things, as much as you can when it comes to social media, your reviews, those type of things. But if you're a little bit more on those personalized services, social media is going to be a lot bigger because you have to sell yourself. And a lot of times these small snippets, these videos, these posts that we show on social show a lot more highlights about our life than a website could potentially do. So you just got to figure out, who is your client base? How are they making their decisions? So is this a personal choice you have to really reflect upon? Or are they in a hurry? That toilet is overflowing and they don't care. They just want to know that you can get here. Speed, price, and ability and quality are they're going to be their quick judgment choices. So you have to show those things as easily and simply as possible when it comes down to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's so important to say. How are they making their decisions? Because the decision you might make off of a Facebook going into a funnel is completely different. Like, yeah, then, my roof just caved in. I don't have time to get to know you a little bit before.
Yes. And if you're in that personalized service, even though we're B2B, but something that's really worked well for us is we just made ebooks. So, I do have an ebook that's a general marketing strategies anyone here in any industry could do, but we did specify. So we actually created different ebooks to specialize in different industries in which we want to help. So for instance, a Facebook ad we were running was targeting plumbers. So I know my guys, they're not on LinkedIn, but they're on Facebook. So that's my type of client. So I run an ad on that place, giving them that resource to bring them back into my website. And the other reason we're trying to bring them back into our website is because we can actually collect their email address, which is a huge, huge, huge portion of being able to remarket to these people and just touch base with them. So they might download my ebook right now. My guys are going to start to hit slow season. When it comes to winter, there's not many roofs that need replaced. There's not too many AC issues and so forth. So they do slow down when it comes to that. So I'm trying to target them with this information. And then what I do is I just kind of reach out to them when it gets closer to the beginning of the year, because almost everybody, once January 1st hits, says, all right, this year's going to be different. What do I need to do? And that's when they're finally looking for it. But because I had that resource, I was able to pull them in at the time that was most beneficial to reach out to them. And that's kind of why, again, SEO is never going to die, because the idea is that you want to be seen when they're ready to use you. Everything else is very supplemental to it. But if you can't be visible when they're typing in marketing company, then you're going to lose that business every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So email marketing. So you're really focused on that. Do you keep in contact with them weekly, bi-weekly, what?
Yeah. So I'll give you examples of what our company does, because we just kind of find what fits for this. We do email out weekly now. So a little bit of a reason we're doing it weekly versus we were doing it just twice a month is I'm trying to actually filter out this email list. So we have over 2,000 people on it. Not many are opening it right now. So I'm trying to get anybody out that isn't an active person that's looking for this anymore. So I'm giving them more emails because I'm basically trying to build them into either you're interested in this or you're going to unsubscribe. So when we actually send more good content out, we know who to follow up with because we can see that they're opening. Yeah. So yes, everybody needs to have that MailChimp or Constant Contact profile made, because you can see who is opening and you can actually retarget the list of who is, because they might be a little shy. They just might be in that middle ground of buying, but just sending a custom email to them of, hey, I've seen you've been opening these. Are there any questions you have I could help you with? And it's just a simple intro where they might respond, they might not, but because it's just sent to them, you're just asking them if I have a question. They might, well, I don't love my website anymore. I don't know if it's great, but it's not something that's a priority. I'm just not sure. Well, now the floodgates have opened where I can say, well, I see it has this, and that might be the issue. I can have a quick free call with you to tell you some things I would change. If it would make sense for us to help you with it, I'm happy to. But if not, at least so you know what to do and not stop thinking about this at night at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. So you can definitely kind of drive them through your funnel that way too.
I like how you say not to be afraid of the unsubscribe. A lot of people are like, oh my God, somebody unsubscribed. You're like, if they don't want it, you want them to say, I really don't want this. And so you're not glutted with emails that start to look spammy, and also continue to market and spend your time marketing people who really
dollars
want it. Yeah.
Yes. Because the size of that list, you pay for the size of the list. There's cost associated. So you do want to see a return on that.
100% when it comes down to that side. So a few things is, you don't want to have all sales emails. A good one, if you're going to just start this on your own, just try 2 emails a month. Make one of it a resource. And so that could be the things that you're reading, the things that you're finding out. So the questions you're asking me now are all questions I'm actually going to look up later. These will be resources that I want to answer people out for emails. When I'm on podcasts or webinars, these are great resources that I can say, hey, I was featured in this awesome, Grown Women, Growing Wealth podcast. We talk about a lot of things SEO. Maybe they're questions you're too scared to ask, but Roberta and Daphne have asked me all of them. Check it out. And then here's 2 blog posts that I think would be really relevant for you. So those are good things to share. And then you can also share specials, changes. The more resource you can make it, most people won't unsubscribe. And that's kind of the biggest thing about it. Don't be afraid of it, but push for it. Make sure you're giving them good things. But again, if you're giving them good quality content and they're unsubscribing, don't get offended. They just weren't your market. They're not ready for it. It just wasn't their time. So, and it will help you if you want to test things as well, figure out, okay, this type of content is not hitting my market, but this type of content is. So you do want to be a little weary of if you had a huge unsubscribe after something. Well, if this was the first email you sent in months, there's a reason this is the first email you sent in months. Most people did not know they were on it. They will unsubscribe. But if you got into this pattern where you sent out 2 a month, well, 6 months down the road, if all of a sudden you see a huge unsubscribe from one of them, look at that email. Something was different about it. Maybe it hit home. Maybe it was bad timing. Just look to see what those trends are, because unfortunately, you're never going to be able to get your entire email list to respond back to you and say, hey, this one wasn't helpful for us. So could you do better? You just have to see what's going on and make changes from there.
Yeah. A lot of my peoples are afraid of SEO as well, because they don't want 1,000 people that they have to filter through to find the 8 that really want. So you can use those emails, you get the SEO traffic, they go to the website, they sign up, get the email, then they unsubscribe. Well, you filtered them out without doing anything, or you did something once, which will set up this.
Yeah, most likely you filter them out appropriately. So a good idea of a funnel you could use for your business is, let's just say that, hey, I get all my traffic from Facebook right now because I just don't have the right SEO. Or even if you do have the right SEO, have an offer. So for example, have a small ebook, have a small PDF that could be just tips and tricks about something within your industry that people are asking these questions about. Or even better yet, use your FAQ list you made from that week of writing down all these questions and just have a bullet point list and say the top 20 questions anyone asks a real estate agent. And honest answers, and that could be the little ebook guide they get. So they go to that landing page, they give you their email, they get the ebook. You put them on maybe a 5 email sequence, and it's just kind of varying what you're doing. So the first one's just the ebook, and hey, if you have any questions, just push reply. The next one could be simply asking, do you have any questions? What can I help you with? Another one could be you're sending the testimonials and reviews of people who have either read this book, used you, or used your services. And from there, you can kind of follow up with a little bit more of a pushing for that sales side of it. So the idea is you're pushing them further and further down this funnel where, yes, if they are opting out in the middle of funnel, they just weren't ready yet. And that's absolutely fine, because the idea of that funnel, you're right, Roberta, automation. So you maybe spent some time setting all this up and just setting up the advertisements to collect this. But at the end of the day, you're just letting MailChimp do all the work for you, and you figuring out by the end of the day, well, out of the 100 people that subscribed in this month, these 20 are still here and clicking open every email. I should call those 20 people. And that's where you kind of really simplify the sales process for you if you are getting a lot of leads. My guys sometimes aren't getting 1 million to start off with. So they're just like, give me as many and as much as possible. But if you have a business where you're a solo entrepreneur, you're the one answering the phone, you're the one answering all the questions and spending time doing that. Well, we all know we're salespeople at the end of the day, and where we spend our time sales is huge. If we're answering all those questions and we end up after an hour realizing it is just a tire kicker, we just lost an hour of our time. And it hurts so bad because you were being so helpful and then you realize they're just kind of using you. Versus if you gave them all the information, these emails sent them to the pages with the answers of what your pricing looks like, how long is the process to get results with me, any little things like that. Well, they're seeing all of this. And if they're like, okay, that's still fine. I'm okay paying this much. Okay. I mean, that's fair. I've heard this before. They stay on. And those, how you know, are your really good quality clients. Because I think all of us in the day also realize, because our time's valuable, we only want to work with people who want to work with us. So Absolutely. Those who come in for quick information, not a good fit. those who are like you, like what you're about, and are really understand that you're trying to be as resourceful and helpful as possible, those are the ones who will appreciate you and really you'll want to contact in the day.
You don't want to end up being their live version of Google.
Yeah. And honestly, even my role, I get caught in that a lot. And we offer a free strategy session. So it used to be an hour long, and I've even changed it where it's only half an hour now, because yes, there were some people taking advantage of it. But at the end of the day, I've actually gotten referrals from people who are just using me for that. So that was kind of a really fun thing was, okay, I thought you just want all these answers, but they were actually asking for something. Someone else needed it. And they're like, oh, I talked to this person. She was educated and nice. You should probably give them a call. Yeah. So that is why you want to still be helpful with it. But you can streamline things to make it easier on your schedule. And that's one thing I found out was more simple for me. So the automation we have is if they go to our website, our call to action is to schedule that strategy session. They go to the page. It tells them everything they would get within this 30 minutes, a link to book it. So they go straight to my calendar. They fill out their information. It's booked. I get the invite. It's accepted automatically. I did 0 minutes of work to get that lead to schedule and for me to know exactly what to do. And I'm not even talking to them until 48 hours when they scheduled it later. So those are a lot of things that even with SEO, even if you drive a lot of traffic, you can make it where not that there's more obstacles to entry, but just make your life a little bit simpler. So because we started, we do our SEO ourselves. So because we even get more leads every year, we've added these things because my time doesn't increase every year, even if the leads do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So make things a lot simpler.
One of the things that we talked about before was local search, because you're dealing with trades. And if I do plumbing in Houston, I don't necessarily want to drive to San Antonio to unclog a drain. So with folks coming from all over the nation using your services, how do you focus to make it local?
Great question. So when it still comes to that side of it, you are creating content that is geo-city targeted. So for example, I'm not just saying SEO, I'm saying SEO in Louisville, Kentucky, SEO in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm creating service pages that are just about that, but those are still very competitive. So I have the pages there that might never perfectly rank for places I'm not located in, but I have those to build. So as my website builds power, I can build power in these areas, but I'm going back to answer those long tail keyword questions. And then I'm sprinkling in the city in which I want that question to rank for. So that's definitely one way to go about it. But to your point, Daphne, so let's just say you are that plumber in Houston. Your business address is located in Houston and you have a website. 9 times out of 10, you won't even get calls from San Antonio because your website is not ranking for that area. Right. So if you are only one of 5 plumbers in the entire state, yes, you will rank for it. But you are one of 5 most likely in a 10-mile radius in any city. So the Google My Business is really the most important part about local when it kind of comes down to it. What ranks for Google My Business is actually, number one, your proximity. So if you're trying to make sure you're ranking in your area, you are only going to rank right on top of your business at the beginning. The more you grow in your relevance, the more your website grows trust, you will start to expand that radius. What expands that is actually how well your website ranks. So for example, my company, we're located here in Louisville, but we're only a couple hours from Cincinnati, Nashville, a lot of great places that are a little bit bigger than us that we would like to do more business clients in. The problem is I'm not physically located there. So my Google My Business will only rank for this broad spectrum of Louisville. We do rank quite wide for Louisville because our website ranks well, but that's the only way we can kind of go there. So unless we actually opened up a shop in Cincinnati, we could create a second Google My Local or Google Business. People do that as well. They might not have a legitimate office there, but they do create those sometimes. So that is a alternate route we could talk about, but I like to talk one-on-one with clients when it comes to that. Is a little more crazy to kind of go that route because it could get lost. You could create this extra listing and then it completely disappear. But the idea is, yes, you rank there first. The second ranking factor is how well your website ranks. So if you did have a business in multiple locations, so let's say you did have a plumbing business in San Antonio and Houston, both need to have their own separate Google My Business locations. And your one website needs to have pages that talk about these separate locations, because if you started in Houston, your website ranks for Houston. It is not ranked for San Antonio. So we have to add more content for Google to see the relevance in San Antonio, because they understand we're under plumbing and they're understanding the geo targeting of it. So that's kind of where, when you do add multiple cities, I tell a lot of clients, it is completely capable, but it is almost starting from scratch in a sense, because although Google knows we're a plumbing company, they have no relevance to us in this new city yet. So we have to build that relationship with Google for them to want to rank that Google My Business appropriately for it. And the last thing, reviews. They are gaining more and more popularity within Google's eyes as a ranking factor. I think last year is about 20%-ish of what the ranking factor was based on was reviews. Now, that is not your star rating. Still, it is. Yeah, it is the number of reviews you have. So I'm sure Google will change this one day. Their algorithm will eventually kind of put that into place, but they want to make sure a business is active and live. And so that's why they're basing it on the number of reviews. But we know that we want clients to actually call us and convert. So you do want to focus on getting quality reviews. But that's why I tell everybody, don't be shy. Even if you've got a 1 or 2 star, address it, because I could be the person that reads it and I just want to know that you addressed it. The way you professionally address a complaint could almost make me think that the client was the crazy person and not the business who might have messed up.
100%. I do the same thing. I want to know who it is. Like, because there's somebody out there that always hates everything no matter what. Right. So there's somebody out there bitching. So yeah, if you have a 2-star or 1-star, I always go and say, okay, what is this? And then, you're right. Did they answer it? Did they ignore it?
Right. That's really important to answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I have some clients that are afraid of it. Like, what happens if I get a bad review? It's like, well, you need to go address it and say what happened. And like you say, see if you can fix it, or you don't want to say she was a crazy bitch on the answer.
The one piece of advice I give everybody is do not drink before you answer any of these reviews. In all honesty, find someone else. You can say your piece, ask someone else to put it into a sentence for you, because most likely, unless you're very calm about it, it's still an emotional process to go through someone basically giving you a negative comment on something that you've worked your butt off to make it as good as possible. You want to have a good experience and you want to get more clients. It's still hurtful. So you want to respond to every single review, positive and negative. And if you can't respond to the negative in a nice way, the default statement to make is, we're so sorry. Please call us directly at this line to fix the situation. They might not call. You might not have to address it. But me as a potential client seeing that review, wow, okay, well, they just asked them to call to fix it.
Yeah. And if you didn't call them, that's on you.
Yes. And the crazier that person I've seen the reviews, I'm sure maybe Roberta, you've seen those where the business might have had a response that was professional. And then if that person says something below it, almost no matter what they say other than thank you, you're like, that's a crazy bitch.
Yeah. Next.
They will show themselves for you. And that's
exactly. Of it. Yeah. Your 1-star doesn't count because you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Just complaining on the line.
We jumped right into SEO. Tell us how why you focus, or your original focus was on tradespeople, kind of your origin story on that.
Yeah, well, it's actually twofold. So I'll go into the most recent and then a little bit about mine. So everyone's business changed over COVID in 2020. Mm-hmm. Our pivot was that the only people out there that were busy and wanted more business because people were calling them were trades. We were all home. Our honey to-do list got so long. We needed help. So we started reaching out. And a lot of those guys that were reaching out to me were ones that were saying, hey, my competition, his trucks are everywhere right now and mine aren't. What's going on? And so we really realized that emergency services, that's how we kind of phrase them as well, those trades, they really need the help, because when people are looking for something quick, they're going to Google. So if these guys aren't on Google, but they're great on Facebook, they might get some business, but they're not going to get people who are calling, adamant, and ready to buy, which is where they would be at that point of it. So that's really where we loved that we could help them the most. We could almost have the most quickest dramatics effects for them. So their business could change in the matter of a year versus waiting 5 years for them to double in size. They could do it in almost a year. So what hit home for me is, and the reason we really kind of went down this method as well, is my father was in trades as well. So when I grew up, That's all I knew. I've never known a dad with clean hands or anything of that nature with it. And my parents were great. Unfortunately, with the business my dad was in, his business was based off how well that company was doing. He was a tech. So if that business was not getting new business to come in, no new calls, no new leads, well, that just means my dad worked less and less hours. And in a job like that, the less hours you work, the less you make, the more a family can suffer. So what hit home for us is I grew up in it, and I know exactly the highs and the lows you can have. And I know that a lot of these trade service businesses, they're family owned. And we want to help that. I come from the side where I want them to do just as well. I want them to, increase business as much as possible. So therefore, they're not a struggling business. And a lot of times it is the younger generation taking over for the new. And that's really where a lot of times they're reaching out for marketing, because they're that new generation that says, hey, I know people are online. We need to be there. And that's really where just the love of past and being able to help them is a really big portion of it, because I'm the one that walks into their businesses. I get to know them, and I get to hear their struggles of, we need more leads. If we don't, we have to let these guys go. And if we do that, we won't have them for next season. And then we're just going to have to close because we can't control our lead base. And so that's what we're trying to do, is create a consistent enough lead volume for them. So there's less worries of this. They might have higher times and have to address, what do we do with more business coming in, but it will stop the lows from being so low. So that just means every year their business can grow what that minimum is. And it makes everyone feel a lot more comfortable and calm when they know there's some savings. There's a little bit of profit this year. We have some money to really grow and do what we need to do for the business.
Nice. I also wanted to talk to you about, I noticed on your LinkedIn page, you had noted that you were able to simplify all this marketing stuff. And that's an issue that I have personally helping my clients. It's hard sometimes to get through all, just to make it simple. So how are you able to do that?
Yes. So let's talk about a few different areas of it. So one, for content, I already kind of gave you one quick tip, is writing down those questions everybody is asking you. Coming up with ideas for content is probably the hardest area. And that's really where, a lot of us struggle with the creativity side of it. But we don't have to be creative. Our clients are literally telling us what they want to hear. So using that for content, you can hire out people to write for you. So there are people on, these are what you can do, Upwork, Fiverr, places like that. You can hire people who are actually experts within that industry who are willing to write content. So if you don't have the time to, you could hire someone out to help you with it and basically say, hey, here's what I want to write about. Here are the points I want to make sure are included. And what they can do from that is go to Google, see what else is ranking for that keyword, and pull out those sections from these other articles to make sure yours is better than everybody else that's ranking out there. That's just kind of one little tip with it. You can also do that yourself. If you could at least crank out one blog post a month, that's a really good thing to do. So I would start there with that. Secondly, emails. So if you can, just at least those 2 emails a month, or if just that 1 email a month, if it's going to be a resource post, well, you create a new blog post so you can share that in your resource. If you're going to do a webinar, or if you're going to host a new podcast, share that resource and just find a nice blog post that you would recommend. This email creation could literally take you half an hour once a month to figure out what that's going to be and just put those links in. And it can just be a simple text email. And again, because it's a resource, just because it's not pretty and designed and, all the bells and whistles, you're still helping people. So they're going to stay subscribed because you're giving them those resources with it. So that's kind of one way to kind of streamline that portion of it. Keep that template the same. Just find new things each week that you want to add to it for the next month's email. And that other one could be your sales email. So just changing it a little bit, but you can still have that default, because again, most people aren't going to open up every single thing. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time when it kind of comes down to that side.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say to streamline reviews. So because if you already have that Google My Business, there's actually, when you log into your profile, it will generate a link for you. So that link is what I tell everybody, put it in your invoices, put it in your email signature. Basically, you're just saying review is the biggest compliment you could give me. Click here to leave one. And you're just kind of putting that. So because you've automated it to put it in all these little things that are automatically going to send out, you're not asking all the time, but all of your electronic messaging is asking every single time for a review. And the biggest thing is, let's just say you had a really great email or a call with someone, make sure you ask them right then and there, because your automatic emails will still be asking for it. But the more personal touch you can put with it the first time, people do feel obligated to leave you that review because they said yes in person. Now, when you follow up with them, they're more likely to do it just because of a little bit of guilt we all feel on that side.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think with the reviews, like if you do it right then, when they've had the experience, don't wait. Like, okay, some people put it in an automated email, which is fine. But if they've just finished buying whatever it was, be it the house or, finished their coaching with Daphne, whatever it is, you want to ask right there when there's still, it's like they just left the restaurant and they can still taste the food. That's the best time to ask.
Yes, 100%. And I tell a lot of people, so a lot of my trades guys, and I'm sure this might be helpful for real estate as well, you probably text people a lot. So even if you're texting versus talking on the phone or emailing, I have people who just put basically that phrase with the link in a note, like in the Notes app, they'll have that little paragraph. And if anyone says something, they're like, oh my gosh, you just saved my life, Roberta. I don't know what I would have done without you. You can open your Notes app, copy, paste that text and be like, this is what I love doing. Honestly, if you want to give me a compliment, if you could click this link and tell the world what I did, I will be forever grateful to you. And most likely because they're in that moment, it's quick, it's simple, and you have that link. That's why we're trying to streamline things for us, but in the end, you have to make sure you're streamlining things for your clients as well. So just making where they can go click on that link, give your review, is the easiest thing as pie, because getting reviews is like pulling teeth. So that's why
is Google
simple.
This is Google My Business.
Yes, ma'am. I would. So I prioritize Google My Business reviews because they will help you rank. But you do want to get reviews as many places as are relevant to your industry. So if you are a personalized business, you're running all these Facebook ads and you have a lot of Facebook traffic, you need Facebook reviews because it's going to give you more relevance there and trustworthiness. But in general, if you know that people are going to go to Google first to find your type of business, then you need to have those reviews there. A little trick I tell everybody, if you have any clients you help that are maybe closer to you, so maybe a friend, a family member that you helped, or if you're talking to someone and they're just cool, I would consider myself one of those people. If someone told me this, I'd probably be like, okay. But let's just say someone's very happy. If you tell them, hey, would you mind saying what I did for you? And what you're trying to ask them to do is put the keywords of your business in their review. So if I helped them with social, search engine optimization, I want them to either put SEO or search engine optimization or digital marketing, any of those variations. I want them to put that into it because Google is using reviews as a little bit of information for keyword research as well. So if we type in, marketing company in Cleveland, Ohio, you're going to have ads at the very top. They're paying good dollars for that. You're going to have the map right below it, most likely 3 businesses, maybe an ad, but you're actually going to see highlighted in bold today. If someone watches this 2 years from now, who knows what Google's going to do, but those words are bolded. So now my eyes are drawn to that review. Oh, they helped them with this. And here's this person giving them a glowing testimonial about that exact service with it. So all those things do feed in together. And that's kind of why, if you could just ask them, could you say a little something, not just stars? It would really be appreciative. If you too shy, that's fine. But if you could just say a little bit of anything, this will really go very far for me. And that's also why you want to respond to those reviews, because not that the response is wholeheartedly pull in SEO, but for someone who's looking to see what you've helped them with, if you can talk a little bit more about what it was, that helps give that person a clear idea in their mind of, oh, okay, so this was the house without flood insurance she did that YouTube video on.
Okay. So if I get a review, I actually do a show every week on people's reviews. So I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. So a lot of times what my realtors get for reviews are, Susie helped me buy my first house. She listened to everything I said. She was so great. So yes, it's buy a house. So, okay, but not necessarily she kept me out of a flood insurance situation in Florida, right? So I would go in then to the response and say, it was so great to help you, Susie. I'm glad we found you that house, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Not
I'm glad we found you
in
that
the golf-
house. Yep. In blank city. So I would name the city and then I would name a little bit about like what it is. So
You're smart, Brittany.
I know I try, but just remember, respect their privacy a little bit.
Yes.
But in general, most people are willing to kind of see this. And a lot of times people don't actually see you responded to their comment. So they're not going to be offended by it. But yes, if you can make a generic where you're putting that city and you helped them because there are all these little subdivisions and neighborhoods, those are keywords still. And those are more long tail keywords. So even here in Kentucky, we're not the biggest city at all, but there are some huge real estate websites here that rank for almost every street.
Yes.
It is insane. And that's kind of where, when we worked with realtors in the past, we had to go down that method of, hey, they're going to rank for Louisville. We can't beat that. So what are the sub cities within this area you want to rank
neighborhoods? Here it's East Boca, West Boca, golf course area, beach area.
Right.
So you could say your beach condo without saying, Susie now lives on First Street.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and it's different for every area. Here, we do really mention neighborhoods. That's how big or small you consider Louisville, up to you. But we do know certain areas where we actually know the neighborhood because there's such large subdivisions where it's 3,000 homes. I'm sure a lot of cities have this. We're like, oh yeah, over there in Lake Forest. We know exactly what part of the city is, but people are actually typing in those things because that's the neighborhood they want to live in.
Yes.
So they're
same way in Houston.
Right. Or where they need repairs. And particularly with a place the size of Houston, it makes a difference if you live in Champions or if you live in Sugar Land.
Yep.
It's a big difference. And then where in Sugar Land? Are you in Victoria Lakes or?
Yeah.
Those things matter, the subdivision and so forth and so on. The importance of local search. Like you said, when there's a problem and you want to take care of it, because the exploding toilet is bad. It's bad.
Yeah. So if you're going to do that one blog post a month, then every month pick a new neighborhood you fix that blown up toilet in. Talk about it. Talk about as much as you can. Really, content in general, make it at least 1,500 words. I know we talked about those 2 paragraphs earlier. Check out to see what your competition writes, because if they're writing 4,000 word articles, then 1,500 won't do it for you. But as a rule, I tell everybody, try to make it at least that. Check what your competition's doing. If they're all writing 1,000 word post, then for sure, write 1,500. Beat them. This is all a game. So whoever's doing it the best is the winner with it. So make what they did even better. So they maybe answered who, what, why. Well, you answer when and how. These are questions that people are probably asking. They're having to find other blog posts to answer that for them. So when Google sees someone gets on your post, stays on it for a while, scrolls through it, reads it, clicks the links, Google is literally doing this. I did a great job. Here's a pat on my back for giving the best ranking article it could be for this, because this person's staying on it and it's helping them.
Okay.
Well, Brittany, this is great. And we can, especially with the SEO questions, we can keep it going for a while, but we want to be respectful of your time. And I know you mentioned about the strategy session, the 30-minute free strategy session. And we're going to be sure to have that link in our show notes. Now, you were talking about an ebook. Is there several ebooks, or there's one in particular for marketing strategies?
Yes. What I had today is it's actually just 9 marketing strategies that you can relate to how your industry and your business is working. So it is more of a generic. So any industry can really take off on it. But if you're in an industry that is trades, if you go to our website, type in paving, ebook, plumbing, roofing, we do have those as well. So if you would like it very succinct to yours, you can go there. But the main link I'm giving you all today is the main general strategies, just expelled out a little bit more on what I talked about today, because we will talk about SEO, reviews, local marketing, email marketing, all those good things that are really holistic for your business, all encompassed in this one simple and hopefully sexy ebook for you.
Here we go. That's the key, because we want the email address.
Closed deals are sexy.
Yes. Getting business, being successful, and being able to take a business or a vacation for yourself without worry. That's what I consider sexy.
Absolutely. Thank you. This was awesome. I got so many ideas. I think when it comes to SEO, we all see it and it's like, okay, I'm not spending money on that. There's no way the hell I'm going to be whoever, Roto-Rooter, Redfin, right? But when you take it hyper local, you take it to the long tail, you can rank.
Yep.
Okay. Well, hey, once again, it's been great having you here, Brittany.
Yes, thank you for having me, guys. So it was great to answer all your questions, and hopefully it wasn't too technical or
No. It's I got a page full of notes. That's why I'm quiet. The great thing about podcasting, you get taught, self-taught. Well, hey, it's been great again, and hey, thanks for listening in for those of you out there, and have a prosperous day.